Essa música.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to your favorite podcast, the Do We Have Your Attention podcast. I am Aisha P. And if you're joining for the first time, I want to say welcome and hi. And as always, I'm joined with my lovely co-host, the wonderful, the lovely Paula B. Martin.
Hi. Thank you for that introduction. I don't know why I'm blushing. Hi, everyone. We're so glad that you are here, and I am so excited that we finally get to discuss this topic. Is marriage the ultimate achievement? I already feel the weight of what this conversation is going to be because it's everywhere. It's on social media. It's not just the wedding. It's not just the dress. It's not even the love story. But the idea of marriage, the constant assumption that it's the thing that completes your life, so to speak.
Right? And I think, honestly, it almost feels like the older we get, the more it feels like everyone's either getting engaged or like quietly Googling, am I broken for not wanting to get married? Which, by the way, is not common that people like to admit. But what if it's not just everyone's story? Or what if it is, but not for the reasons that we think?
Yeah, and that's exactly why we need to explore this conversation, especially why it still carries so much weight as a life goal. And to be fair, we are at that age where I guess one could say these are the conversations that we can be having, putting professional aside, personal into this conversation. Yes, we are at that age. But yes, it is important. I was like, is it just me?
No, I totally agree. We're at the age. To be fair, we're at the age where it's like a constant reminder. Everyone wants to talk about marriage or like, what's the plan romantically? Yeah, we're at that age where it's a constant reminder of, just the idea of marriage.
Yeah, and there's the rest of us who are still sort of wondering and maybe just trying to figure out if this is what we want for ourselves, if this is important for us, and if there's maybe different things that we're choosing for ourselves in the meantime.
Yes, and I'm so glad for today's conversation because we are joined by the Northern therapist who's someone's voice that we deeply respect. We've worked with the Northern therapist very closely.
Yes.
And she does a great job as just a marriage specialist and a therapist and a professional. But I'll let Paula do the honors of introducing our guest today.
Yeah, so we are so excited about this particular guest. When I think of anyone who is an expert on this conversation, it is a Northern therapist. And if you don't know the Northern therapist is Mrs. Miriam Hassan Baba, who is a marriage therapist, mental health advocate, and the founder of the Northern Therapist. With over 10 years of professional experience, she specializes in helping individuals and couples heal, grow, and reconnect. Her approach blends evidence-based therapy grounded in Islamic values, ensuring every client feels truly seen, respected, and supported. Beyond therapy, she creates safe spaces through the phenomenal Ladies Club, the annual marriage conference. I am such a big fan of the annual marriage conference, even though I've never been, but I've seen so much content from it. She has other spaces as well, the Project Zomu Zauna, and the other community-driven initiatives that empower people to thrive in their personal and relational lives. At the heart of her work is a simple belief: healing and connection are always possible with the right supports. No one has to walk alone. So welcome, Miriam. Welcome, Northern Therapist, to the Do We Have Your Attention podcast.
Welcome back.
For having me. I can't, help but just jump on your excitement, Paula and Aisha. Thank you for having me. And, when I joined the conversation, when I joined this meeting, I was looking forward to like maybe a serious conversation. But just hearing you guys speak, I can now know that this is a relaxed conversation where I'm not only wearing the hat of a therapist, but also the hat of, a person, a wife, and, somebody that also has friends and sisters and, females around it. So I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Hey, yes, you. If you're enjoying this episode and want to be part of the DWHYA community, don't forget to leave a review, drop a comment, and rate the podcast. It helps us grow and keep the conversation going. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. I love that. I actually love that. And yes, most people, because we're therapists, most people go, okay, so this is going to be a serious conversation. But then you're like, wait, it's kind of fun. It's kind of chill. Yeah. It's kind of cozy, which we like. But absolutely, we're wanting to learn from you, but we're also wanting to converse as well with you. And of course, before we get started, we want to sort of just do a feelings check-in. And for our listeners as well, as we are checking in, make sure to check in with your own selves and just create the space and environment that you need to dive into this conversation. So I'll start with you, Aisha. How are you feeling today?
Yes, so excited today. So happy to have Mariam here and just to talk and hear all the gems she has to give to us today and our listeners, just from her experience, her specialty. And I'm just feeling very excited. I'm very curious to see how we navigate this conversation. And Mariam, now I will turn it back to you. How you feeling to be here today?
Yeah, Aisha, today I think I woke up just like a normal day, and my emotions have just been normal, but now like I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited to the conversation, to hanging around with you all and the community generally. So I think getting excited. Yeah,
love that. We love that. We love that. Paula B,
yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling relaxed, open, curious. Miriam, you're definitely one of the people who I've always been curious to learn from. So I'm looking forward to this conversation as well, for you just to share insight, especially on a topic like this. So let's get started.
Let's just dive right into it. Let's
all right. So, Miriam, what comes up for you when we ask, is marriage truly the ultimate achievement? What comes up personally, but also as a clinician as well?
Yeah, so for me, when we talk about marriage, like being and maybe like ultimate achievement, I think marriage is really beautiful. It provides space for you to have companionship, to feel safe, and all of that. But what I also see that, the feeling of that safety is not always guaranteed for you to get that in marriage. And because, as a society, I grew up to understand that, if you want to look whole, if you want to look like, you have your life together, then you just need to you need to settle down. Like it's something that you transition into, just like you transition into your career, other roles in your life. So because of that, I see like right now, there's this pressure on individuals to just, get married and just do the right thing. And it's just taking away the focus of what are we supposed to get? Like, what's the experience that we are getting from the marriage, aside from the label and the status and the proof, I don't want to quickly jump into saying, that marriage is not quite an achievement yet, because I know we are going to be going into that conversation. But I would say marriage is really, really beautiful. What is inside, what we are supposed to get in the marriage is beautiful. But whether or not the marriages that we have these days, or the marriages that we are experiencing, have those things that can make us feel safe, is something that we are going to be diving into. So I think if we're able to get what marriage is supposed to give to us, what marriage was created to give, then we can say that that's an achievement, right? Because you were looking for something valuable and you got it. That's an achievement. But then, like, if you're looking for something and you did not actually get what you're getting, but just a label, so would you call that an achievement? I don't think so.
Yeah. Now you're already dropping nuggets here. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to take that in, but I really love how you broke this down.
Yeah.
Two things. One being marriage is a beautiful thing, and you rarely hear that anymore. You hear the opposite from a lot of people, and I think it pretty much connects to what you're saying, the second half of what you're saying, that the reasons why we probably hear that a lot from other people, which is the opposite of marriage not being beautiful, of being hard, being a struggle, being exhausting, is because a lot of times when we're actually understanding what is the achievement, so to speak, a lot of people have different understandings of what that really looks like. I don't want to jump the gun, but in listening to you, I'm hearing you sort of say marriage is an achievement when it pretty much meets the standards and it consists of what a healthy, quality, satisfactory marriage is supposed to be. When it's the opposite, it can be very difficult for one to say that it's an achievement. Okay, Aisha, your thoughts here.
I love that Mariam actually said marriage is beautiful, because I do think it's a beautiful thing. And I think that recently society has lost the plot on the idea of marriage. So Mariam, thank you for that reminder. But I think from what I heard you say, I think it's important for each person to define what achievement means for them, because I think once you're able to kind of clarify what is an achievement for Aisha, what is an achievement for Mariam, what is an achievement for Paula, then you're kind of able to reflect on, when you do think about marriage, what does that mean for you? Would it be something that will fall under that category for you? And I think it would be easier for people to I think it's better for people to respect other people's choices when they are able to kind of identify that everyone's definition of achievement is different, right? For some other people, this can be an achievement because for them, this is something that, like what Mariam was saying, like their marriage brings safety and security and all these things. So to them, it's like, for the longest time, this is something that I've wanted and I'm able to get that in this marriage. So then I feel like this is an achievement for me. But for somebody else, even if they have all of that, it may not still be an achievement. It may just be something that they're happy to have at the end of the day. So that's like something that just came up to me in terms of thinking about marriage as an achievement. I think it's better for people to clarify what is an achievement for me, because everybody's definition can be different and it can very much look differently for different individuals. So Mariam, in your head.
I think, Aisha, when you just mentioned that, I want to say that what you said really, really makes a lot of sense, because no one should kind of define what an achievement looks like for you. And I know I experienced this a whole lot in, couples therapy, when you have one person who, is not acting the right way in the marriage. And then there's this other person who is the spouse that, is feeling guilty for wanting to stay in a place where maybe they are not being respected, or they're not, and I always tell people, like, you know what, at the end of the day, it's not about what others expect for you. It's about what you want for yourself. Like, you can be in a marriage and, somebody is misbehaving and they're doing whatever it is. It can still be your choice to stay in that marriage, because the truth of the matter is everybody is allowed to stay in a marriage based off of what they want. Right? So if what you're looking for, you're getting in the marriage, it doesn't matter what the standard is for a lot of other people, right? Perhaps, let's say your husband is cheating on you, right? Is cheating on you. But for you, the impact of that cheating is not as important as, that companionship that you have. that financial responsibility that he takes care of, that, physical intimacy. If it's not as like, you're down for all of that, and this particular cheating, it personally as an individual, it doesn't affect you. It's just you thinking, oh, but as somebody, like, I'm not supposed to tolerate this. I'm supposed to. Then you have to own what you want. Like, nobody should tell you what your standard is, or what's back to what Aisha said. What's the word Aisha you used?
I don't remember, guys. I heard you talking.
So you all get it. Like, nobody should tell you like whatever it is acceptable or not. So long as you own it. And that's what I always tell people, like, whatever it is that you want, a marriage is an institution, like, that can meet several other needs. It's just not one thing entirely. Or don't go into, or don't kind of like deceive yourself. Just be clear as to what you want in the marriage, right? And own it, right? So this is what I want. I'm going to own it. I'm not going to, this is what I want, but then I want to push for other things. Like, it doesn't work. And that's why a lot of people can be frustrated in their marriage. But once you identify what you want and you own it, then you define your own success, then we can say you're good to go. Like, marriage is going to serve you eventually.
Yeah. I really appreciate you breaking that down. And I can already hear some people listening. Some of our listeners going, really? Really? Like, I can be okay with this. Or you might probably hear some other people going, I don't agree with that. No, that's not true. Because let's be real, everyone is entitled to their opinion. So I want to sort of follow up on that, on what you're sharing, which is so interesting, the way in which you're breaking it down. It's everyone has different boundaries, different rules, different things that are non-negotiables and negotiables for them. Someone might not have companionship, but might have stability. Someone may have stability financially and companionship, but have infidelity. It's really different, right? So what happens in situations where what was a negotiable becomes a non-negotiable? Because an interesting thing, right, that I have seen working with couples is sometimes people go into marriage thinking that their spouse is going to stay the same. But we forget that. Is this, if we're really thinking about the notion, right, of marriage, so to speak, it's like two people individually on their own trajectory in life, but they are witnessing each other, if you want to put it that way. We're witnessing each other and we're sort of doing it together. But you have your own trajectory, I have my own, and then we have our own trajectory. So naturally, we expect evolution and growth and change to happen in marriage, because it already happens as individuals. So of course it's going to happen. And I see a lot of times where 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line, he's not the person that I married. She's not the person that I married. There's certain things that could have been things that your spouse, let's say, were less of a priority that become a priority. These things change. What then happens in those situations where a lack of companionship was not of priority at the beginning because financial stability, a co-parent, someone to co-parent and raise kids together was more important. And then you get to a different season in life, in marriage, and then you're looking at the person beside you, our kids are gone, but do we really like each other? Are we really do we have companionship here? What do we say to those types of situations?
So in this kind of situation, to be fair, just like you explained this, like, people evolve, people grow, and you cannot expect the dynamics of your life to always be the same just because you're married. And whether you're married or not, these things happen. So, but if you're not married, it's easier for you to accept and manage because now there's nobody to, compare your life to or whatever. But what I always think about is the fact that you need to be talking with your spouse, right? So as you guys are evolving, as you guys are, growing, you need to be carrying each other along, and you need to be making sure that even as you're, transitioning and growing and what have you, your needs are still being met. So this is in an ideal situation, right? So, but if you're not carrying each other along, and I've also seen from my work, like the first thing couples ignore when they get married is just like, carrying each other along, because to be honest, it's very difficult, like, carrying your own baggage in the marriage, because it's a whole new world that you're in. You have new responsibilities, you have new priorities. People actually get lost in the whole roles that they have, in the whole responsibilities now that they have, and they forget that a marriage is not just about one person, going around and navigating their way. Like, regardless of your reality, you're still doing it with somebody else. So it's very important that you're carrying each other along, so that whatever happens, you're still a team. There's still that partnership. There's still where you're supporting each other, even if not at the same, phase that you guys were supporting each other in the beginning. But when you ignore that, everybody is swimming in their roles and responsibilities, and then you wake up one day, it's very easy to feel like this person is not meeting my needs. But do they know you to know your needs? Right? They don't know you as much to know your needs. And no one is actually a mind reader. If you don't tell people about you, they don't know. And I think that, movies...
Sorry, can you just repeat that? Because some people need to hear that part. What did you say?
No one is a mind reader. No one is a mind reader. You're not and I don't blame people. Like growing up, we watch movies, we read books, where the only way for you to know somebody cares about you is if they can just, do things exactly. Like, make it make sense.
Unrealistic.
It's unrealistic. It doesn't work that way. If you want something some sort of way, and I always share it, like, with my couples. I'm like, how do you feel just standing by and watching your partner, like, take guesses a million times just to please you? Like, how does that make you feel? Right? When you can just tell them this straight up and they would do it for you the exact same way. And coming back to reality, even I myself, like when I got married, which is like 10 years ago, I know I used to have that expectation with my spouse, like, you know what, he should plan a date for us. He should like know when I need something. But then, like, I'm somebody that has like little patience, honestly. And he's not just getting it. I'm like, you know what? Is my birthday coming up? And I'm like, you know what? Like, I want you to get me a cake. And I remember I told him that if you don't know what they would write on the cake, like, let me tell you what they are going to write on the cake. So, that's a little bit too much. But then, like, it's easier when you're guiding somebody. And to be honest, when I just took that decision and started taking those steps, like, he started meeting my needs. So imagine if I kept quiet and just allow him to be doing blunders and resources, maybe planning a date in a restaurant that I don't like, doing things that I like. It's wasting resources, disappointing you all over again. Why are you always setting your spouse up for all of that when you can easily communicate with them?
Mariam, I love that you said that. Why are you setting your partner up for failure? People cannot read your minds. People cannot read your minds. I love how you phrased it. Like, you need to carry your partner because it is a partnership. Together, we're growing together. We're understanding each other differently. And to be honest, when we talk about marriages and people evolving, you cannot be the same person that, as you met your partner when you first met. If you're the same person, I will be concerned because it means that there's no growth happening. It means that you're just choosing to be stagnant, right? So there should be there should be some level of evolvement happening. I don't think that's the right word. There should be some level of growth happening. Like you said, like, life happens. There's so many things that's so out of our control that happens, and you get to learn each other during those trials, during those transitions, during those moments. You have children changes people. You have lots of jobs, lots of security, so many things happen. but we need to learn to communicate and learn from each other and just understand each other and how our needs are changing as we're evolving through all of these life transitions. So, Maria, thank you so much for that reminder. But I want to throw this back to you guys, because I know we're talking about marriage and we're talking about, achievements or, how we communicate in the marriages. But first of all, do we actually genuinely think people want marriage in the first place? Or do you feel like they're more attached to what it represents? So representing stability, financial security, belonging, or even being chosen. And do you feel like once people actually get that marriage, do you feel like it actually gets those needs met? Like, does marriage actually deliver those needs and those promises that we've been told marriage does?
That's a great question. And my answer to that is no.
Yeah.
I'm going to, and obviously, and this is me speaking as a couples therapist, but my answer to that is no. I don't think that, I want to say, I know we're generalizing when we say people. What we just mean is the vast majority, a majority of people truly understand what marriage is. There is just going back to what you're saying, Miriam, that there is a very much so romanticized idea of marriage that only when you are truly in it to some degree that you recognize that, and that's the issue there, right? If we're looking at it more from a romanticized perspective, when you are dealt with reality, it feels like a fall from grace. Versus if you are looking at it from a realistic perspective, you understood, you moved with intention in truly understanding what this thing would entail. And of course, nothing ever really takes away from experiencing the reality, but it definitely does not feel or come across like a fall of grace the way it typically is. And unfortunately, there's so much that marriage represents for a lot of people, especially when we're bringing culture, gender, power, status, things along those lines. And I was listening to a podcast a couple years back where they were talking about marriage, but they were speaking to men who were married. And it was a very enlightening conversation because most times you hear a lot of women talking about what it means to be wives and mothers and whatnot, but not really men. And one of the things that they had shared was the pressure of marriage really seems to fall on women when you're single and you have to sort of attain this thing, right? So finding a husband, are you married? Yeah. Have you found anybody? What are you doing? There's value. You sort of gain more value as a woman to some degree when, let's say, you do find someone, they do want to marry you, quote unquote, right? They do want to marry you. You do get married. You go through the process. The interesting thing that the guy in the conversation said, but it flips the script in the sense where now she's married, at least no one disturbs her anymore. Now, of course, there's other aspects of, are you going to have a kid? When are you going to have a kid? I've been at a friend's wedding where people were already talking about the many twins and triplets and this one and all of that they were going to have. And I'm like, these people haven't, the ink is not even dry yet. The ink is not even dry yet, but they were going prayer with twins, triplets. And that was all the prayer. Nobody was praying for communication, intimacy, respect, none of that. It was mainly about being able to be fruitful and multiply, so to speak. So there is that pressure there. But the guy also said there now becomes a burden of responsibility and pressure on the man to lead, so to speak. Now, the beginning part, nobody disturbs men too much about whether or not they found a wife. But then now you found a wife and now you have maybe kids as well. What are you doing as the leader of your household? And it's after the wedding and after the actual form of, let's say, sealing it and saying now we're married, that they begin to feel their own pressure, which makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of conversation you hear with people saying that sometimes their spouses change. There's
Yeah.
a little bit of a change and a shift that happens after the marriage. So my own response to that is no. I'm curious to know what yours is, Miriam.
Yeah. Okay. So I think from what you have shared now, Paula, like we can all see how marriage plays out for different people, like looking at gender differences, looking at the reason why we're settling down. And I want to also say that, you know, the society again like shaped for us the meaning of marriage, right?
Yeah.
Why are we getting married? So you know that as a woman, right, when you get married, you're given like more, as you're more accepted in the society. You're kind of like more complete. I know that there are instances where you hear things like, okay, this place is for married women only. This one is for like this is the place for. I remember when I was growing up, because I had to like go to university and all of that. And I remember my younger cousins that got married, right? At the time I was even in university, when they're having like serious family conversations, like they have those conversations with my younger cousins that did not even go to university, because obviously they are married people, right? So you're not expected to kind of like have an opinion, or, there's just like a lot of things. And so like people just, aspire and they just want to get married so that they can be accepted. And for a man as well, the society has also like, wired a man to feel like you look more responsible, you're more of a leader if you have a home, What you do to that home is not as emphasized. Just to back up what you're saying, like at the entry level, like nobody is really concerned about like training you or reminding you of what you're going to have to give to earn that. Because just like in every other relationship, even in marriages, like we earn even our even what we are expected to get in the marriage. Like at the end of the day, we earn those things. Because like, you're supposed to get like love, respect, all of that in marriage. But at the same time, you earn these things. If you walk into a marriage, you're dismissive, you're insensitive, you cannot continue to get like genuine love in that situation. So I see that happening a whole lot. And then eventually when couples get married, then now they're being held responsible for how they should act in the marriage.
Yeah.
Whereas nobody really, I don't think like, I don't think even till date, I don't think like people really ask maybe like a 30-year-old or a 34-year-old woman, like, do you really, really love him? Do you know, are your values aligned? It's just more like, oh, thank God, like, when is he coming? Like, what can we do to make everything easy? Nobody really thinks about all of that. And then like 2 weeks into the relationship, people are telling you boundaries. People are telling you, don't even do this, don't even like, but where was all that standard before you got into the marriage? So I don't know if I'm answering the question of dive into another thing. This is my thoughts right now. Yeah, absolutely.
I think you actually answered that really well. And it reminds me of what people say when they say this idea of we're not raising men to be husbands, but we expect them to act like husbands when they are married. We expect them to understand what it means, but we're not necessarily already having conversations. It doesn't happen after you've gotten married. It happens before. The conversations are supposed to sort of happen before. And it can be very tricky when you find yourself in that position where most people are less concerned about these things and more concerned about getting to that place of acceptance. Now the acceptance has happened. Funny enough, the people who are typically indirectly putting that pressure, even though a lot of that pressure sometimes can be internalized, it's left to you and your spouse to figure out what marriage now looks like for you, so to speak. So you definitely answered that question. And before I get your perspective, I also want to hear from you as well, Aisha. From your perspective, what are people often not prepared for when they actually reach marriage? what parts of reality don't make it into the engagement, anniversary, dating phase of relationships? I would love to get your perspective.
I think people are not prepared for the work that comes with being married. It's so funny to me that every time I see somebody after they've gotten married, like honestly, like clockwork, after a year when they're doing their year anniversary, they all say the exact same thing. Marriage is work, oh, I did not expect to do this much work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, because marriage is work. And I think because just like we've been saying throughout the conversation, that for a lot of people, because of how society does romanticize marriage, and you're kind of focused more on meeting that need of getting that title or status that comes with being married. I think people forget that after you do get married, all right, what next, right? Because all of these things, all of the things that maybe you haven't worked on, like, for example, your communication is tested, your fears, your needs, and so I feel like marriage can become like a mirror back at you.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I think Aisha, that was the word I wanted to use, right? People are not prepared for that mirror, right? So because when you get married, sometimes before even like shift into what your partner is doing or not doing, it's more about how you are responding and how you are adapting in marriage, right? Because sometimes you're your own trigger, right? Your own trigger. Like you have your own wounds, you have your own, expectations, which were yours. Because speaking the truth, when it comes to marriage, most times we know that there's that pressure. People just get married. And because of that, in the dating phase or in the courtship phase, there are certain things that you are not necessarily compelled to actually show.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Like marriageable, right? You want you just want to, we don't really focus on, I know if there are people that actually focus on that, like they are very few. Most times it's just about, what I can see like we're compatible. We talk together for long hours. We go out on dates. He's a nice person. She's a nice person. But then again, like when you wear that role of husband and wife, it comes with a different dynamics. Your priorities immediately shift.
Yeah.
Things like the reality of what life is now is quite different from, what you were when you guys were dated. And even if people cohabit, like, still you cannot get that commitment of, like this thing is like, for better, for worse, I want to stay here. And also the expectations that society will also, dump on you and hook you to that. So we're not prepared for how you can also struggle with communicating, like as an individual, how you can struggle with that, expressing your thought and your feelings without actually, criticizing or minimizing or making everything about you. We can also, struggle with how we resolve conflict, how we also are receptive or accommodating of the shortcomings of others. We find out things about ourselves that we've never experienced. I've heard people say, you know what, like I've never been like this. This is not who I am. But right now, like this is who you are right now, because this is something that you cannot ignore. Certain things that, are kind of like menial before they weren't a big deal for you. You find it very difficult to, give maybe like compassion, all of that. So I would say before people jump into the whole marriage thing, it's very important, no matter the kind of pressure that society would put on you. We've already identified the fact that society would always be society at every level. Like they would have their opinion, they will have their expectations, but they won't be there for you when the chips are down. Like they won't, like really, nobody really cares about you. This expectation that they are really putting on you is just protocol, so to speak. It's not that deep. Today, if you move away, like they are going to another person. So pay attention to yourself as an individual. Like, who am I as an individual? What are my shortcomings? what do I need in this marriage? What's a childhood maybe trauma that I'm still, dealing with that I haven't dealt with at that moment? Like, do something about it. And I know, as somebody that works with individuals as well, I know it's not easy to kind of know all these things from the onset. I know it's not even possible to know all these things, but be aware. Be aware that these things can show up and they can actually, challenge the way you're handling the marriage. Once you're aware, it kind of makes you open-minded, and it helps you in settling into the marriage.
Hey, yes, you. If you're enjoying this episode and want to be part of the DWHYA community, don't forget to leave a review, drop a comment, and rate the podcast. It helps us grow and keep the conversation going. Thank you. Agreed. Yeah. Awareness, communicate, work through healing, because nothing's going to change with just awareness. I think we talk about this.
Yeah.
The time, you can be aware, but are you working through those things? But also, I think, actually, funny enough, I think nowadays there's a lot of encouraging of counseling to a lot of couples. Just so that I know there's couples counseling, but I also know that there's encouraging individual counseling as well, just so people become aware, because just like we're saying, the things that you're probably not been paying attention to, just because, when you're getting to know somebody and you're excited and you get the engagement and you have the wedding, all of that's exciting. But when the real work starts, those things that you've been avoiding do show up. And Mara was saying, all the people are gone now. It's just me and my partner. So, we're alone in this house. And what does that look like, right? And the more we don't address the things, the more it gets worse. But, a lot of people continue to ignore. And then, I think Paula was saying it earlier, the kids now, you have kids, you're still tolerating it. And then the kids now going, you're not looking at each other I actually don't like you. I can't stand you. But I also don't want to get a divorce because I'm worried about how people are going to perceive this and perceive that. So we're just going to be married on paper and to other people, but when we come home, we don't talk. I literally know somebody like that. It's they don't communicate, they don't interact with each other. But it's time to show up for events. Daddy and mommy something, which is very sad. No, it's true, because I think a lot of people are living that reality of not liking their partner, not even being able to tolerate them, but still being together, because there's a lot of things that were missed from the start, and a lot of things that even if you missed it from the start, as the journey of the marriage continued, we're still ignored and missed and weren't worked through.
I remember there's a therapist who was saying that there are a lot of people, there's a lot of marriages, a lot of people who are married. And if you're looking at a pool of many different married people, you would see marriages that have been there for a long time, people who are at the half mark, people who are just starting. And then if you further examine that pool of marriage, not based off of the quantity of the years, but the quality of the relationship, that pool shrinks and becomes very small. And where he was going with that was that there are so many married people. There are a lot of unhappily married people, but there are not as many happily, or even what do we call happy? That's it for another day. But the point being, there's a lot less quality, healthy, functional, satisfactory relationships within a marriage than the opposites. It tells a lot to a large degree, and that really stood out to me as a person in general, but also even as a therapist.
Right. That makes me so sad to hear, actually, because it just means that people are getting married just to at this point, rather than, like we've been saying, I think society does place that expectation on you. Even now, I don't remember how many people, uncles and aunties, sometimes parents, sorry parents, but it's true. Every conversation is now centered around that marriage. And, my response to them back is, I don't want a marriage where I'm not happy and I'm not fulfilled, or I'm not actually don't like my partner. So if it's marriage that
Yeah.
you want, trust me, if by the end of the year you want a marriage, I know people that I can marry, right? But that's,
Yeah.
I don't want the title. I don't want just to say I'm married.
Yeah.
I want partnership. I want respect. I want genuine love. I want a marriage where I'm like, this person is my ride or die through thick and thin, or through like all the things life is going to throw at us. And I know that we're going to work through it. I want
Yeah.
someone that I can trust enough to build a solid relationship with.
Yeah.
But it's always like, you people are so picky. You don't know. You
Yeah.
pick and choose the one you want. And I'm like, well, you've picked and chose the one you want. Please let me do my own now. Like,
Yeah.
that's that. But not
Just
to
do it. Like, you hear, I don't know if you've heard that too sometimes. I do say, just do it. Just like, don't you're thinking too much
you're thinking too
about
much.
it's not that deep.
You're thinking too much. And when your mate, you're getting. I'm like, please, I beg.
And I also think, aside from, like the projections of, the society and our loved ones, sometimes I see also this, show up for a lot of people. Sometimes we actually look at marriage in relation to, love and, completing one and just, like we just have like so many expectations that we bundle and we attach it to marriage, right? And I think that's one of the reason why, or right now, like we can say that's one of the fastest reason right now why couples are checking out, because like they have so much expectation from their spouse. You want your spouse to meet your emotional needs. You want them to give you like validation. You want them to give you reassurance. You want to be the only one to make them happy, the only person that they can come in. The only, like, the expectations are just unrealistic. And at the end of the day, like, people get into married like in like weeks. They realize that, oh, like, this person is not like he or she, either way. And this is not just about a man or a woman. Either way, they realize that, you know what, this person is not my, like, they are not doing we in the marriage. Like, they have an eye, like, they look out for themselves, they do things, they have interest. We don't watch movies together. But we need to understand one thing, like, in as much as marriage is like something that we do because of our emotions, it's not practical, and it's not enough to hold,
Absolutely,
a relationship, right? A partnership, so to speak. It goes beyond how you feel. It's also about, you being intentional and being logical, and knowing that me saying that, okay, I like this person, our values align, all of these things, me, checking all the boxes, also means me standing in this situation and, being committed to this situation, no matter what goes, right? Being there as a partner, checking in with myself, finding ways to balance, working on what needs to be worked on. Just so that we can continue to be there for each other, because there are going to be different seasons in your marriage, and some seasons, the different seasons that you experience will determine what love means. In some seasons, you're not going to be getting all that mushiness, all that, like, it's required more for you to, like, lean into your individuality. We said people evolve. If you're constantly leaning onto somebody, you're putting all your weight, your identity, everything on top of them, how do you build your own self? How do you do that? You don't do that. And that's why a lot of people lose themselves in marriage. They wake up one and say, but you know what, like, I've been there, I paused my life, I stopped doing this, and you have been evolving in your career, you've been doing all of this, and now I don't, like, because I chose to do that, right? I chose to do that myself. Like, marriage did not require for me to lose myself, and losing myself is not the definition of how healthy our marriage is. So I think this is like this is an information that people that are single need to understand. Marriage is not something that is going to, complete you. It's not something that when you get married to somebody, it doesn't automatically mean that you are the assistant of that person, or you're like the second version of that person, and everything you guys do, like your destinies are kind of intertwined. Like they have to be the ones to support you. They have to be the ones to, make you grow. Like it doesn't work that way. You have to find your way, just like you do in life.
Yeah.
You have to cut them some slack, because they are also people. They are also dealing with what they are dealing in. So long as there's that commitment and there's that respect, like you should allow yourselves to be in the situation, and that's what makes up for a healthy marriage. But once you're carrying all your expectation and you're dumping it on your partner, and you're thinking that we love each other, we are married, so this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Definitely you're going to be disappointed in that marriage.
Yeah.
And you're going to be chorusing with everybody that marriage is not beautiful, marriage is difficult, because the expectation that you're putting on somebody, like you yourself, you cannot meet that expectation for yourself.
Yeah. It's interesting that you ended on that note, because as I was listening to you, that's all I kept hearing, that a big factor is self-accountability. Self-accountability is so needed. If you aren't able to truly know yourself, get to know yourself, understand who you are, understand your trauma, your trajectory, your unresolved wounds, resolved wounds. But if you're also not able to fully build a strong sense of understanding and identity around who you are, it makes no sense to be expecting somebody else to be able to do that. When you think about that, it's like, how does that actually work? But it really just shows how important that self-accountability is. The ability to have your relationship mirror you to yourself, and you being accountable in actually taking action. And that's the part that gets tricky for a lot of people. But speaking of which, we can't talk about marriage as an achievement and not talk about those who are not married, for many different reasons. How does being unmarried become something that is seen as a problem, even when someone feels whole, they are connected, they feel at peace with where they're at and with themselves in their life? What do people miss when they assume that singleness equates to lack, so to speak?
Yeah, I think I'll look at this from two perspectives. That's the perspective of the society and the perspective of the individual. So the perspective of the society is just like something that the society learned, that you know what, this is the structure, this is how it's supposed to be. When people are that they should get married, like it gives society that shape, like it gives continuity, and we just don't like disruption in how things are to be. But when people don't get married, we feel like something is wrong. And we also know that the society is made up of different kind of people. People that are projecting, people that are wanting, people that... So it's a lot, right? So what I will say is I want to call on every other person to check in on themselves, and we're all part of the society. Right. How do we put pressure on people? How do we, celebrate people? Because we can also be part of the problem where whoever you see, the first thing you're asking is like, are you with all of this, your degrees, you don't want to settle down? And also, okay, still on society.
Sounds like she's speaking to us.
The way we learned that this is the standard, because we don't know whether it's true or not, but we just grew up knowing that, it's the standard is you get married so that you can have children, and so that your children can also have grandchildren. The way we learned that, it's important that we read the room and unlearn that, right? And now individual, which is the most important. I would say if you're an individual and till date you're being bothered by society, it means you're not paying attention to yourself, and you're not working on yourself, and you're not prioritizing yourself, which is something that shouldn't be outsourced.
Yeah.
Society, you can't control the society. And it's even reckless of you to not take care of yourself and just allow the society, because the society can get to you. So I feel like for every individual, you owe yourself that. You owe yourself that responsibility of protecting yourself from what the society is projecting to you. Once you're able to do that, then you're able to understand what marriage is. Why is it done? What's the purpose of getting married? What's the expectation of you, when you get married? And what's the kind of person that you can get married to? And what's your purpose? Like, primarily, what's your purpose? Can your purpose only be served in the marriage institution? Like, is that the only place that you can serve your purpose? Once you're able to answer all of those questions, I promise you, it's going to be easy for you to navigate on either way you find yourself, whether you're married, whether you're single. Once you're able to answer those questions, you're able to, be free and just let yourself be in the situation. I want to also emphasize that this is not something that anybody can do for you. This is not, nobody will do that for you. Yeah, nobody will do that for you. I remember, like, before I got married, I also used to experience all of these things. I told you, like, I come from a family where people marry at a very, very young age. So a lot of people, there's that pressure, like, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? When are you getting married? And I would say even at the time that I got married, I didn't have this much like self-awareness, and I didn't have much control over how I allow people's opinion or whatever to get to me. But I experienced that with my infertility journey. I understood that, like, these people, they can actually get to you as an individual because you're just human and you have your insecurities, you have your own weaknesses, you have your own issues. And it's easy for them to get to you because of all of those issues, all of those wounds that you worked on. But when you work on them, like, they like, I remember in my early days of infertility, there was a woman that would see me and, she would say, "Oh, mommy this, how are you? Mommy Paula, how are you? Mommy Aisha, how are you?" And when she comes to me, she'll be like, "Mariam, how are you?" Just to, remind me that, what's
wow.
And I remember it used to get to me, right? It used to get to me. This is a woman that I don't really know. We don't really have conversations. But like growing, like, emotionally and having that self-awareness, now I don't even think you can bring a baby and be jingling in my eyes and be doing all of those things, and it will make me feel bad, because now I understand some things are much more about you than it is about me, and I understand I've come to terms with a lot of things. I've learned a lot of things. I know the meaning of the infertility to me and where I am at the moment. It's important that people also do that for themselves when it comes to marriage. Don't just sit down and say, "Oh, I have a thick skin, I'm not going to take care of myself." Like, you don't know what people can do to you. Take care of yourself. Yeah.
That is so true, Mariam. Wow. Look at all the gems you just dropped. Like, the thing you have taken away is be self-aware and just cancel out the noise. There's going to be so much noise. But if you're focusing on yourself and, what you want for your own life and how you imagine your life in a way that you're going to be content and be at peace with it, cancel out the noise, because people would always talk, just like we were saying earlier. You're at the wedding and people are already asking you 2 weeks later, even from the wedding venue, when are you having children? When is this going to happen? The first child, people are already like, so when are you having the second one? And it's like, people are going to say those things because, like, Mariam, she used this word earlier and I really liked it. It's like protocol for them. For them, this is just something that they feel like they have to do and they need to. Well, you don't have to fall into that trap. You're allowed to set boundaries and you're allowed to not let your worth and your identity, as you figure out, what marriage means to you, what being a parent means to you, or being a mother means to you. You don't need that to be attached to other people's expectations of you. I'm always telling people it's okay to disappoint people, because people be okay. Disappoint somebody today, especially if you're, if it's all of these messages that give you so much unrealistic pressure and expectations that it's just like, no, I don't want my worth to be tied to this idea of being married. I actually want a solid, respectful, loving marriage. And I wrote something down. When in relation to the question, what's missed is when we're not respecting other people's decisions to stay single or live a life that is not connected to just this idea that everybody has to be married or everybody's marriage has to look a certain way. It's that we're not respecting their boundaries, and we miss their ability to actually connect and get to know them authentically, and know ways to like
Very
be for
true.
them and support them and just be part of their village. Because now I know you're not going to be part of my village, because now I know that you're gonna, every time I have a conversation with you, it's going to be invalidating me or not respecting my boundaries. And that's not a safe space, right? You miss the
Very
opportunity
true.
to be a safe space for people that are choosing to live their lives based on their terms.
Yeah, very true. And just to wrap up this conversation, this powerful conversation, if I do say so myself, is the worst thing, or let's even put it this way, the unfortunate thing that we can do as human beings is to let other people's projections dictate how we choose to live our life.
You better say that again.
Though I want to say the worst thing, but let me change that. The unfortunate thing that we can do as human beings is to let other people's projections dictate how we choose to live our life.
Period.
Thank you so much. There's a reason why they call you the Northern Therapist.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why. Thank you so much, Miriam. This was a powerful conversation, and we want to keep this conversation going. So to our listeners, if you have yet to subscribe, it's time for you to subscribe and follow. Leave your comments, your reactions, your questions, your feelings, whatever it is. We want to hear from you. And in order for you to be able to do so, besides on our streaming platforms, you can also continue this conversation with us on Instagram, Twitter/X at DWHYA podcast. You can also continue this conversation with us on TikTok at DWHYA podcast 1. You can also find the link to this video and this episode on YouTube. And you can also keep up with our hosts, myself and Aisha. You can find me at paula.b.martins. And Aisha, how can our listeners find you?
You could find me at ab.popoola.
And last but not the least, to also continue this conversation and just to get to know the wonderful work that Miriam has put in into really helping couples heal in their marriages and to understand and basically to move from just quantity to quality relationships. How can our listeners find you as well, Miriam?
Okay, so you can find us on Instagram, The Northern Therapist. We're also on TikTok, The Northern Therapist, and on X, we are also The Northern Therapist. So yeah.
Awesome. And we will definitely have the link to all Miriam's platforms in the episode summaries as well. This was a great conversation, ladies, and I really appreciate you taking your time to share your knowledge, your expertise with us. And I would love for this conversation to leave this space, so to speak, so we can help so many other people out there. And with that being said, until next time.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Do We Have Your Attention podcast is executively produced by Paula B.Martins and Aisha Popoola, with co-production by Kyra Dosumu Ogundigbe.